Our last presentation is by our team of seniors, Anthony, Raymond, and Jacob, talking to us about driver's ed.
Okay, hi everyone. Welcome to our DT project on driver's ed. So I guess we could just jump right into it. So our main problem for our problem in driver's ed is that we want to find ways on how to engage teenagers into getting their license, because we found the problem is that not a lot of teens are motivated to go out there and get their license, because maybe a couple examples would be that they're not motivated to go out because they're lazy, or it's not affordable to get their license because of the cost. So we want to find ways to make it cheap and affordable. And Jacob, do you want to?
This is Anthony Sled.
Oh, okay, Anthony.
All right, so for like our solution, what we plan on doing is possibly kind of like cooperating with Tesla. And since we know that Tesla already has self-driving cars, and then a lot of teens are not as engaged or don't even know the benefits of getting their permit or license, and a lot of the excuses are that it's unengaging. So what we came up with was a self-driving car that would basically teach you. So when you're in the car, you take a course, and if you're already trying to practice for your like license, you know how you have to like drive around to practice, and then you take the actual behind the wheel test. So you self-practice by yourself, which in the car, you're basically, you have some sort of control, but if you mess up, the car will take control and adjust the mistake. So when driving around, it'll record, and when you're done driving, it'll kind of like pinpoint you on certain mistakes you did or suggestions, and then there'll be like sensors and angles around the car to let you know. And then for those for like the permit ones, for people who are learning or barely learning what driver's ed is, there's the same thing, but instead of the car driving, you're actually just sitting inside a car where it's just a simulator, and you take the actual course in there. You learn what gas is, what brake is. You learn how to position your hands on the wheel, or how to shift gears, etc. So that's our solution. But the reason why we're motivated for this project is because for our story, I know a friend of mine who kind of like drove illegally. So I'm just gonna keep this short. He would drive illegally and wasn't aware of being able to get his permit because he was just 15. So he didn't know he was able to get his permit at 15 and a half. So he would be driving around illegally. He didn't really, have anyone to teach him how to drive, to the point where he got in an accident at an intersection with a car with another car, which was an actual family car. It was like a van. And what ended up happening is that the family did not survive. So he was charged with murder, and he was charged for driving illegally, and he was just charged for like a lot of things, and he was tossed in jail. And to this day, he's still in jail. But those are the consequences that happen when you're not aware.
So these are our end users right here. Just some feedback that they had given us. Our end users would be the DMV, because they would take a big hit from this. And then, as Anthony mentioned before, Tesla, we would get the money and the resources from Tesla to implement the technology into the cars, so that we can have the people learn how to drive the cars within the simulator.
So Anthony said a lot of it, but basically we're gonna use the same sensors that are already in the Tesla, and we're choosing Tesla obviously because they seem to be the brand that is most connected with their cars. So like they make their own stuff. Like other cars don't connect with their sensors and their cameras in a way that Tesla does. So Tesla can control all of that. So we would be taking advantage of that and using it so it can detect our hand movement, our if we're looking over to the right, to the left, or Anthony basically said it all. But we're gonna design or we're gonna implement some of our software that we theoretically we would code, and then put it in the Tesla so it can detect all of that.
Some of our experts were Mr. Sharidi, and he suggested that we use an Arduino, which is basically a simulation of how sensors work. And another expert who got feedback is herself. She said to, I quote, building our own code and implying the knowledge of driver's ed course should be run through coding, but the sound of the car being in charge sounds terrifying. This is why we'd want to work with Tesla, since we can't run a software where the car will be controlled, since we're not a trusted brand, while Tesla is. Why this should be supported. So the moral of the story is that we want teens to be safe in this car, and we want to motivate them to go get their license. So we feel like this would be a fun way to not only engage them, but to also spread awareness for teens who want to get their license. And yeah.
So for those of you guys that are young, so there's some benefits too that a lot of teens are not aware of. So when you get your permit, like if you're studying, you're 15 and you do online courses, which are available now, or you go to the DMV, you take actual courses in class, you go to a class. Either way, you could do online or class. And if you get your permit, once you get your permit, you're gonna have that's when your driving record starts. So when your driving record starts right there, and if you have such a clean record where you have no incidents or accidents, and then when you get insurance, when you get your own car, and then you're trying to get insurance, like an insurance company, it's gonna be way cheaper because they're gonna know you have a lot of driving experience and you've never had an accident and you just have a clean record. So that's also a big benefit. You won't have to pay for a lot for insurance. So that's also a hidden benefit that a lot of things do not know.
Yes.
And that is all for driver's ed.
We have a video though. Let's show the video.
Oh right, we have a little video.
Yeah.
Just a 1 minute. There it is.
Very cool. Okay. We're done.
And that is it, yeah.
Thank you, gentlemen. Are there any questions for this group?